Good evening, Music Multiverse listeners. We're live from Alex's garage in Lockport, New York, just after the Chris Maloney Legacy Foundation, where we were able to auction off a Beyond Your Radio meal to music experience, which will be done, in the near future, and that'll be recorded. We're looking forward to that. But right now, tonight, it's Album Review Saturdays, episode 18. And this episode is really more about, well, instrumentation. We've got two fabulous drummers, and then we lead in the third album for Royal Thunder. We get into more of a rock psychedelic, but a whale of a voice in Minzy. So our records tonight, we're going to start off with Galactic, Tampatulas. Then we're going to move to Solstein, which is a Steely Dan product. And then Royal Thunder's Rebuilding the Mountain. And we'll explain a little bit of that as we get into it. And joining me tonight, of course, is Chef Jeff from Hawaii. He's listened to all three at my request. Alex was sequestered into this because he was the closest we could get to. And I was unable to do this over the weekend with my trip in Boston because of lacrosse and stuff. So here we go. I'm going to let Jeff start us off a little bit with your thought on Galactic, and you lived in New Orleans, so.
Galactic. Well, I don't hear anything on New Orleans about it. I may be wrong about that, but I listened to it twice and I just didn't get any New Orleans vibe. Most of what I got out of it was I love when my phone decides to go off track at the last minute. But anyway, hang on a second. Technical difficulties. There we go. Okay. So, interesting album. I would call this alternative more than anything else. I'm not going to say I enjoyed it, but I did not enjoy it. It was like one of these things that I listened to, and I liked it to a certain point, but I probably would not listen to it unless it was forced on me. The songs I really liked, Float Up was great. Mm-hmm. Ready for Me, I liked a lot. They have a full sound. They're, as I said, they have the drummer is good, but I was not impressed by the beat he was trying to hold. The guitar, he was good, but not spectacular. So it was, to me, would be a mediocre group who I think has talent, but I think the selections of songs, and there's only 6 of them, which is more of an EP than a full album.
An EP.
But it was listenable, but not my favorite genre.
So my question for you is, you said that it was different, didn't give you the New Orleans style going into it. What were your expectations before the listen?
Well, I've listened to a lot of New Orleans rock there and elsewhere, and it did not sound New Orleans at all. I mean, literally, I didn't get any New Orleans jazz. I didn't get any New Orleans rock in it. It sounded like rock, like a really good paid rock garage band.
So on my end, this is the ever-growing, ever-changing progressive New Orleans jazz rock that's been unique percussion system that's been delivered by Galactic for a long time. But has it strayed away from that starting point that they've had for years? Now, Stanton Moore is a ridiculously talented drummer. In I don't know, in the reach of what he does. This is kind of holding the record together to me, But people have to understand that if this is where, I would never tell anybody this is where to start your galactic experience. You know, the early records are far more mainstream into jazz rock and fusion of in that vein. This EP, which looks great in the album cover, obviously is Champatulas, the street in New Orleans, which I don't know a hell of a lot of the history of. I don't know how an alligator comes into the fact, but they are spelling it Champatulas instead of Champatulas, which is spelled differently. So unless the band was to explain it to me, I didn't read any
Seems
review.
very clicky, like anything in Western New York where you know how to spell Skajakwada and say it.
This is true, right?
It's their version
right?
of the smaller town.
Yeah, you got to know, right? But I tell you that the band has been album by album stretching the boundaries and reaching forth, and they have definitely played the hip hop vibe, which is on this record. They have even brought in that style that's more rooted blues, not rap, but it's what's the guy's name? Oh, damn it, that's gonna kill him that I didn't get it. But it's like a blues rap, or it's darker, it's richer, it's but this here they take a Cuban relation to it. So how Cuban relates to New Orleans, I don't know, but I will tell you this. And Jeff,
Creole to it.
No Creole. That's the thing, is right. But if you were
find that Hispanic,
Jeff will back me up on this. I'm pretty sure. I don't know when the last time he was in New Orleans. Okay, but my trips from New Orleans back in the days of food service, equipment, and supply, each year there was less and less New Orleans and more modern stuff going on that did not speak to what Bourbon Street is to me. All right. And the soul of what Bourbon Street was. But besides Preservation Hall, the jazz part of New Orleans, Bourbon Street, has faded greatly.
Yep. I was there 2 years ago, and it's completely changed, but there is still some residents of typical New Orleans jazz. I found this to be more, you had a rap in there, you had a little bit of Caribbean almost. Yeah. When I said the drummer, I'm not saying he's a bad drummer, okay? I said I don't believe his drumming, the way he did a couple of the songs, were the right style.
Yeah.
So
I believe you said the drummer was holding it together. I think the bassist was holding it together.
So to Mark's side of the review too, I'm thinking, so you're saying this isn't where you'd start your galactic experience, but is this where you would, if you started with them at a better point, you'd find the evolution of them pushing their boundaries?
I did, because when I first heard that, I was affiliate. I was familiar with it because I'd heard them do it once before. They bring in different people to sing or to do, because really the band itself is not, they don't have a vocalist. Stanton Moore's not one. None of the members really drive vocal. So they've always had some sort of guest appearance. And it's usually on the female side, and it's usually of a bluesier jazz tone with a little bit more rasp, or you feel it like old style New Orleans, right? When that, she get up there and belt that,
and you feel the build to it off of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This here's like something I wrote that might be it'll be in the article. There's a fantastical musical place that only has, it's a crime of it, is it's an EP, right? It's only 6 songs. So you're not going to really get any flow from it. But like eating in a New Orleans restaurant, even the smallest of portion can pack a big flavor punch, as well as satisfy the palate and the belly. I'm hearing certain things that I love about them in this stuff, and that makes me sort of realize how they're putting a spin on it, right? Or they're bringing it to a forefront. So it's more tolerable for me. And I wouldn't say tolerable. It's just, if you're trying to get another audience to listen to you, that's not in your wheelhouse, like hip hop, this might be a nice stretch and a nice mix. But again, it's only 6 songs. And I brought this to the attention to Jeff that we were going to do this. I'm like, here, we've got Stanton Moore. right? In New Orleans, I know Jeff is familiar with New Orleans. I don't know if he's familiar with the band or not, but the next guy we're going to talk about, it's Steely Dan. My God, it's another drummer. They're both releasing albums on the same week. So let's go that way, you know, and it's great to comparison. Yeah. So with that, Jeff, do you have anything else on this one, or you want to move to Solstein?
Let's move to Solstein.
Okay. So on the Solstein side, I'll just make this comment. When you have the massive fusion jazz and even progressive rock drumming talents of Keith Carlock and Steely Dan, Toto, Sting, all right, that's who he's played with. The ease of which you can form a band, put together a tremendous song palette is just as question is it's just a question of the lineup, right? And you know, where are you going to throw it down? So can you do it studio? Are you going to do it live? Or maybe a unique location? Well, apparently for this one, a dude ranch, which is I would not have thought that, right? So Solstein arrives whenever this was done, like a musician's playground. And we're fortunately along for the ear-filled ride of an all-in, all over the place progressive fusion of mass proportions. No matter who has the reins on this bad boy. And there are a lot of people that take the reins. So Jeff, you put it in and you were, let's go.
Yeah, well, I like the album overall. Very, very strong instrumental. I mean, I only have one problem with this record because I love Steely Dan. I was blessed to see them. I just loved them to death. But this album, I know where they were going, but it really needed a vocal. It had no vocals. And so the album sounded a little bit like what you would hear in an elevator these days. It was
almost like the vocals would have filled in an extra harmony or an extra layer of the notes to go with the instrumental.
The record, and I hate to do this because people out there are going to scream at me about this. The album was weak. Okay, it had great instrumental all over the drummer and a flute. The piano is great. I mean, they really did, but it was like trying to make a meringue pie without the meringue. Just wasn't. It just didn't fill the whole void. Maybe now this could be personal because I love Steely Dan. I'm used to it. The minute they played their first song, Intersection, I said, "That's Dan there." I knew exactly what it was. They could have played this anywhere. I would have picked it up immediately because they used a lot of their old riffs and a lot of their same time and tempo and stuff like that. It was Dan, baby. There was no question there. But I kept waiting for the damn somebody to sing, and it didn't happen. Did I like the album? Yes, I did. I thought some of the writing, February 9th, The Creeper, both fabulous songs. Again, a short record, only eight songs. They did some things that got a little weird, but I enjoyed them. Oriental folk song. It started off going left and then made a U-turn. So it was interesting to listen. All of it was interesting to listen to. But for me to listen to it again, like I do with my favorites and stuff like that, it would have to be either I'm driving or I'm doing something that I can just veg out on, because it did not pull me in like I hoped it would.
Or like a background noise type thing too.
Exactly.
You just need something back there.
Yeah. This is funk jazz. There's a lot of Herbie Hancock kind of vibe on the keyboards.
Say that one 3 times fast.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do that and get in trouble. There's also some really fine jazz progressive stuff going on, which might kind of be nice for people like that like Happy the Man. Obviously, that's a nice piece for Steely Dan, but like you said, vocal wise, right? One of the things that people always tell you is that if you're going to set up your stereo, Aja is the album you want to set it up to, right?
If I can remember what my dad used to set his records up to, Oh God, I wish my mother I could talk to her right now on this. He used to have. Go ahead.
But Steely Dan's that's a masterpiece of depth of song and things from all corners. If you're setting up a sound system, and this album has a bunch of that, I think, and it's a little bit more modern.
What I will say is, and when you talk about Herbie Hancock and something, the problem with this album is that it was a lot of rhythm and not a lot of lead. There was not a lot of lead in it. Yeah.
Well, to that point,
it needed somebody to come out, I don't know, with a trumpet or something. The lead thing. It was like going through a meadow of flowers.
It sounds
all you see is flowers and grass. You don't see a tree.
It sounds less like you're talking about a meringue pie without the meringue, and more like you're talking about a bunch of great hors d'oeuvres, but no entree is coming.
That's very possible.
It sounds like there's a lot. It sounds like there's a lot of good, but it's missing the finish.
It's a good point, because there is one song, and unfortunately, I listened to this record multiple times on the drive to Boston, which leads me not to be able to look at tracks. One of the songs is actually, it's layered, that there is a song and there's another song going on behind it.
Huh.
I know there is,
too.
And my wife was like, "Is there a song on behind that?" I go, "There's a track below it that's an entirely different song, but melodically it works beautifully. But it's masterful in that regard. But there is nothing that really stands out. It's well done, but there's, like you said, you know what, I didn't write that in my review, and I think I feel that way when you say that.
It's almost like there could be 4 instruments going on, and it's missing its 5th to really capture it.
Well, is that a question of improv?
If in a lot of ways, instead of this being jazz, in a lot of ways it felt more orchestrated, more like, because it was like everybody's doing their part, but it's all cohesive. You're not getting any high points.
I'm very curious to see how this would sound if you just went to watch them live and watch them jam in some sort of that feel. And just watch them go at it with no vocals.
Sounds better live.
Yeah, it would be more fun to even enjoy it that way.
Yeah, but it also could be very boring. I could be in the front seat snoring. So,
yeah, but you could get into those moments too, where I had a talk with my cousin this weekend. We were talking about going to live shows, and he was picking out some shows he's seen recently where he just he spotted a guitarist from an opening band and goes, "Yes, he's got it," or that guy has it. And I could see this in a jam going, "I love watching that one. Oh shit, look what's going on here." And you pick out live these little bits to
on another hand, since I've seen Stan before, I go to a Steely Stan show, and then I go to this. It's like, what the fuck happened?
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. The parts are missing.
That is, and that's why maybe the band is what it is. I mean, this is Home Lupo, Carlock, Dambo. All these people are masterful musicians at what they're doing, and if this was orchestrated, like you said, and not improv, then they improv or improv, no solo really. I mean, there are bits and pieces of it, but yeah, cool. I like the record. It was exactly kind of what I thought it would be. There were bits of surprise. There's actually, I think, one of the tracks, I'm not gonna remember which one, but it seemed like there was drum programming. Like it wasn't drumming. I can't remember what track, but I'm like, God, that doesn't sound like
it. It actually requires a real good drummer to do that. To emulate,
I would imagine. Yeah.
Drum machine.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Phil Collins gated the hell out of drums, and he was amazing at it. But there were times that's not. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll finish. Well, we're not going to finish because I have a couple of records to talk to after that I listened to as a bonus feature. But now we're going to go a little. This is definitely off the reservation of what we've just been talking about, because musician wise, jazz, progressive, and rock, and what's going on with what we just talked about. We're going straight up rock band, with an
Rock.
intense hard rock female vocal that's got that swirl, that snarl, and has some startle and subtle, brilliant moments, in my opinion. But this has hints of psychedelia and a throwdown. It was a real rock contender at the start of this year. So I'll let Chef Jeff give you his start on this, because this is certainly not in his overall wheelhouse, but it does fit a timepiece here that might.
No, this was it's somewhere in the middle of rock, alternative, and heavy metal. It's combined there. I enjoyed it. It was the best of the three for keeping me entertained. I enjoyed it. The song dragged me. Now Here Nowhere. Now Here Nowhere was great.
Yeah.
Fade was great. Dead Star. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it. I was driving the whole time I listened to this, and it kept me entertained. I really liked it. Very, very tight band, extremely tight. Percussion and a bass really held it. The bassist was, if you took a second and listened to the bass, he was just phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. But a lot of people don't hear bass lines. I happen to be attracted to them. But I really enjoyed the album. The vocals was great. The drumming was great. The song selection was really good. I really enjoyed this album. I would probably listen to it again. Matter of fact, I listened to it just before we went on live.
Yeah.
So I really liked it.
Mindy Parsons, the vocalist here, is wailing this into a Ann Wilson meets a different kind of Janis Joplin, because this is not Janis Joplin, but in the frame of what this is being done as, it works extremely well. Now, Josh Weaver plays guitar, and I'm assuming he's playing the bass parts too, because the band has disassembled in their part. So really, this was my
layered setup.
Yeah, this is my first foray into them. Thanks to Ripple Music, the guys on Twitter and the record company that does this stuff. They brought this to my attention, and I'm like, so okay, let's find out. Well, this band's from Atlanta, and they've released actually a CVI in 2012, Crooked Doors in 2015, and Wick in 2017. And they have been acclaimed by Rolling Stone magazine quite a bit. So this is the statement I keep making, that you can't listen to everything, but damn it, we try. And here's a position where I failed, because this kind of vocalist, I don't know how this slipped by the radar. She's a powerhouse. She knows how to bring it up, bring it down, bring it sideways if she needs to.
Even when you make the Joplin comparison, that's such a unique voice that sometimes that wail or that extra little bit that Joplin can add, it's unique to the point that it's too unique and works so well, and it's underappreciated for it. So yeah.
When I was listening to her, I heard a lot of
Pat Benatar. I didn't want to say it because I was not sure. There was one that stood out completely, and then as it changed, but my wife, I said, "That sound like Pat Benatar to you?" And she goes, "That one did, yes, for sure." Yeah.
As I said, it was bits and pieces. She has a very wide range of vocals. There's no question there.
Yeah. So when I got back to this, if you like the voice of Ann Wilson, Janis Joplin, even Pat Benatar, with a stoner rock blues that has that Zeppelin range, because there were times that here I could feel that I was in that kind of production that mirrors Shinedown.
To go from that in a Zeppelin range is a really unique.
But you remember, this is a stoner rock band, and if you look at Zeppelin, that's kind of where their wheelhouse was, right?
Yes, but to go with the Shinedown side of it.
Well, this is production. That's what I'm talking about. The production is, and
you've always accredited Shinedown's production, for as much as, like Nickelback, people on the modern side of rock don't appreciate Shinedown for what they can do on that side of things.
Yeah. So
yeah,
very few bands rarely find and embrace a signature sound. I think this band might be reaching that. Now I've got to go back and listen to these other albums so that I can really speak to that. But as well as, whatever's going to come, So I'm impressed. I was certainly impressed. I'm glad you kind of liked it too. So
I'm
my
looking in here.
oh well, while you're at it, should I go to the other couple albums I listened to for quickies?
Yeah, and if I find what information I'm looking for,
Okay.
then I'm
So
go
let's
ahead.
let's go too wild
Two interesting
and
bands.
too wild, not wild. All right. So I'm gonna start off with
Not wild, but cool.
yes, very cool. As a matter of fact, Cool and the Gang. What? Yes, I listened to Cool and the Gang's new record. People just want to have fun. Now, obviously, I don't think they were ripping off Cyndi Lauper in any way, shape, or form.
No, but with the Barbie movie coming out, thank God that they're not ripping that off because we're getting on overload there. Anyways.
Yeah. So what I'll say is this. I'm not a huge Cool and the Gang fan, but I understand how they can bring it, right?
And the impact they had on the genre, really.
Yes, right? And kind of fits that Solstein wheelhouse in some instances because a lot of funk. They do it well here. There are things here that are very produced, in my opinion, and I'm not sold on it. I also don't think these were done together. It seems separated and not cohesive. Like maybe, Jimmy, could you do the vocals from the morgue? I mean, well, maybe not the morgue, but this seems to me like there's like, he can only get here on this day and he can only get here on that day.
And can we make these work?
Yeah,
even though we don't know if they'll work.
But I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
if you're a Cool in the Gang fan and those people that go to those shows and stuff, I think you'll like the record. I think it tries to be a little bit more modern than they're capable of, but they don't stretch that far off, and they're not.
Right.
And then one thing they're not doing is trying to swear to get your vote either.
Well,
which is great.
and it's a twist on what you're trying to be when they started and what era they're from, because you want evolution, but you don't want to lose your originality at the same time. It's a very fine line to get the balance and not hit one side or the other. So I think for that,
would you pick up a Cool in the Gang record?
Well, it's funny. I have a story about Cool and the Gang. I think I was 28, 30, somewhere in that nature. I was paid $50 by my boss to take his son to see Cool and the Gang because he wouldn't go. So yeah, they were so strange. They were enjoyable.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The things you get paid $50 for back in the day.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, that was a lot of money. That was like a day.
$50.
Well, we were just griping here this weekend because we were going to get Brad Paisley country tickets, and we found out they were $110 before the convenience fee.
It's okay. I almost went. I said, you know what? I really want to see Smashing Pumpkins when I'm in Vegas, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I got on the cheapest freaking tickets left on like 12th row, and they're $790.
Holy shit! I wouldn't pay $700 to go smash 700 pumpkins. Anyways, as you say,
they had first tickets, so I had to check $3,300. and
I could make a meal to music with that finally, because I'd pay someone else to make the meal.
It's 95% sold out.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So as you were saying with the Cool in the Gang.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Cool in the Gang. But yeah, would I listen to? I'm probably going to listen to the album now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know there's a new album. I might. There's nothing with them that's, ridiculous. They came out during the disco phase and stuff like that.
And I think that's part of their originality too, and their sound.
Yeah, they were more. They weren't as much disco as they were rhythm and blues. And so I'll probably check out. I'll get the album from you, and I'll check it out and see what boils.
I when I went Cool in the Gang, people just went. So I'm like, new record.
And I'd be wondering if they're still alive.
I went back and there was a record only 2 years back or something like that. I went, I know I wouldn't listen to it, but shouldn't I have known that it came out just
Or
in
at least
case?
just know it did.
I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. They could probably do like maybe they're on the Barbie soundtrack. Who knows?
No,
Before
and
you
you
go any
guarantee they're
further,
not.
What
There's
was
a better
that?
chance I'm on it.
What, Jeff?
before you go any further, I'm going to go back to what I was researching for.
Yes.
We were talking about who played bass for Thunder.
Yeah.
Okay, Minnie Parsons.
So she's singing and bass.
She is a full
Getting
bass.
me to it.
Yep.
Okay.
She is and it's a lot of bassists are singers.
Yeah, because
You know?
I think
But
as opposed to I think it's harder to be a lead guitarist because you're adding a certain sound to the track as opposed to, at least when you're a bassist and a singer, you're supporting your vocals with a basic rhythm where someone can focus on the guitar.
So wait a minute. Think about her singing and she's playing the bass. That's a son of a bitch, man.
Yeah. You know what? There are a lot of great. Look at Paul McCartney.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of.
He's not wailing like that.
Exactly. Yeah. The
You can wail. There are quite a few.
I mean, Sting ain't bringing it. You know, he's just.
But we're also.
Sting is Sting. This is effort.
Oh, well, listen, I'm impressed because that's heavier. Don't get me wrong. I imagine I can do it. I'm always impressed by stuff like that.
No, but when I say heavier to describe it too, I mean that in the sense of what, or when you say heavy, I think of it as effort. You're emphasizing as opposed to natural, and you're really protruding that vocal.
Yeah.
You have to understand that in a studio, she'll run down a bass line, then she'll do the vocal line. Rarely,
I get that. But I wonder if she's going to do that live because it's like, what's her name from Evanescence? She ain't going to do anything but sing.
No,
right?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that. I've seen live. I saw live videos of Mindy, and I didn't remember a bass guitar. But then again, I've been exhausted all this last 3 weeks, so I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying as close attention as I thought. But this band, Rebuilding the Mountain. The reason the album is named that way is they had more people in this band, and they had fallen. She was married, and I don't know if she still is, to the guitarist Weaver, and their marriage was falling apart, etc., kind of things like that. So this was rebuilding this mountain, and if they got this right, they might be in a good wheelhouse to really to bring something to a table that might be worthy of them getting on stages that they might not normally have gotten to.
And for those at home watching us that may have gotten lost in our banter, we backtracked into the original albums under review, not the extras that we're adding into this.
Yeah, yes.
We're back on Royal Thunder a little bit here. So,
in my personal opinion, it's just as hard to be a lead guitar singer as a bassist and singer.
So it's the same. Okay.
You really, really have to be, especially if you're doing a lot of shredding and singing at the same time, but the ones that can do it great. I mean, Eric Clapton, he sings and he can just play riffs that none of us could even think about.
That's where I argue your point, though, because I've had a lot of times where I'm drawing off my modern inspiration, Dave Grohl. Okay. I listen to some of the riffs that the Foo Fighters play, and I go, how's Dave able to maintain that series of notes as I'm thinking it in my head and the finger motions and maintain his vocals maybe with an elevated scream to it and screech that's unique to the Foo Fighters? They have a timing.
What's more impressive is he's chewing gum.
I don't even want to get started on that side of it. But then I think of the Foo Fighters that way, and I think of the specialty of a lead guitarist doing lead vocals, and I think of a bassist doing it, and I feel like you can almost go on autopilot depending on the song and the structure that fits the rhythm of the song, and you don't have to shred and hammer at it, and it kind of develops natural on that. So that's where I feel like a bassist would be easier, and that's coming from someone who I can't do bass, guitar, or vocals, or really much anything outside Guitar Hero, so I shouldn't talk. But
yeah, what do you think, Jeff?
Bass in rock and roll is the highway. It's the one that controls.
Oh, no doubt,
speed,
no doubt.
Tempo, everything.
Yeah, okay? I will never argue that.
It is a lot less complicated to do bass once you get it, because it's a formula, unlike a lead guitar, which is basically he has many avenues to go and he controls it. For a bassist, you know, there are some great bassists out there that can really tie things on, you know. But
That's exactly what I'm saying too.
From knowing,
Yeah.
I've known a lot of bassists who are friends of mine. Are you flapping at me or a fly?
No,
No,
we got
fly.
Yeah, he had to pour wine, so now we're being
Okay,
attached
Jeff,
by
go ahead.
Nance. Yeah. My God, Jeff, get on with it, brother. Get on with it.
Yeah.
Go
But
away
anyway,
with your words and your wisdom. Go now.
No,
I've
you're
met
saying
a lot
that's what
of
I'm
personal
thinking, yeah.
friends who are bassists that sing, and I know a lot of lead guitarists can sing, and I believe, my opinion only, that it's going to be easier for a bassist to sing, whether she's wailing or not. But
Yeah.
I did look it up, and she did do bass on all their albums.
Okay.
I think what Mark was saying though too, when we got into the initial review without knowing that tidbit, is you thought she was just focused on the vocals. Forget adding in another instrument, let alone when they have to live add that in.
I'm just thinking, because the bass is laying it down, right? You're laying it down and you're laying it down and you got this groove and you're doing it there. And now you're going to have to, like, if you hear her, you're going to be like, how do you keep that
Correct.
while you're doing something that is completely the opposite?
And maybe while you're recording, it's easy because you can separate the two.
Yeah.
But you add in a live factor to it, and you're gonna have to do both.
Now I'm going down that rabbit hole because
when we went one further and said,
"Oh, we're deep in the rabbit hole right now."
Yeah, we're down. Well, yeah, we're down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Kool and the Gang, which didn't even. Okay, sorry to Kool and the Gang. It's not a bad album by any means. Will I play it ever again? Probably not. Will I play your greatest hits and do all that? Absolutely, right? It's standard operating procedure. So then we're gonna go to a completely. Well, actually, it was on my list of that's your band names that completely pissed me off. And if your name is Paris, spell it that way. But they don't want to.
Well, it's like when I did that one, and you're like, why?
Oh, wait till you see that when that goes live, because I actually typed the name of the band is Shapes, but it's spelled S-V, and I type it. So this is Paris, P-V-R-I-S, which I talked about.
So I call it Purvis.
Yes, but that's not
Even
their name.
It's not even remotely close to pronouncing it.
They're from France, right? I'm pretty sure. So their new album,
sure should hope so.
Their album Evergreen.
Okay, you know what? Want to know what that name means? I just looked it up. Paris, spelled that way. It's a Persian mythology, a mythical superhuman being.
Well, I will tell you, they do deliver this in a mythical superhuman being kind of thing. Are we metalcore here? Are we almost dance?
I still got to stay on metalcore, I think, before you go to dance.
But it does have an element of club. And I think when they're clubbing,
and you can definitely have that.
They are hitting it. They are hitting it, man. They are really hitting it. They're hitting baby seals. They're hitting monk seals. They're hitting. I don't care what they hit. They're hitting it. It's an extremely. It's on it.
If they're Bobby Brown, it might be Whitney Houston.
So I was sort of impressed. This is my favorite of their records. I think this one will get a lot of acclaim. Why did I not leave it? As something to review and put words to. I listened to it and geez, I want to add this because I want our viewers to have a little bit something more than what the articles have. So on our notes here tonight, I think Galactic was as an EP has a little bit. You kind of have to grow into Galactic, and I think you should go back to other records because they have a much better jazz fusion
and
sound.
Start with the context and feel the evolution off it.
Yes, and then you know exactly where they come from, whereas this one you will not know where it's coming from because there's a lot more influences. Solstein, I'm with Jeff on this one. This is a completely a record that has a lot of great stuff on it, just no lead, but you'll love it. If you're a fan of Steely Dan, you'll mostly love it. You'll be sad about the vocal, that there isn't a vocal.
That you're missing.
If you're gonna hike a 15-mile hike, perfect song to put on.
Right.
Perfect outfit.
You're gonna have to get there in a hurry because 15 miles in 38 minutes. I don't know. This is a short album, isn't it?
I don't know about you, but I don't know people that can run that.
So,
I don't know people that can run that no matter the time limit.
and they got Royal Thunder rebuilding the mountain, where we're rock stoner rock. I think of all the records, this is the one that has generated the most buzz for us. I'm going to go down some rabbit hole here. I really, if I was going to suggest, if someone said, Mark, out of these records, who should I go? I would tell you to go to Royal Thunder and then Paris. Jeff, what would you say?
I'd say, I think this is the end.
Okay, Jim Morrison.
No, I didn't say my friend. Just the
Yeah. So on that note, we're on the radio or on the web while we're on the radio. We are not on the radio.
We're beyond
Never
it.
going to be on the radio. So we're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Not TikTok.
Not TikTok. Probably should be, but let's face it, I'm just not that talented. So anyway, thanks for this and happy listening. Wow, where's the button? Yeah, it is.